Welcome back, guys, to Phoenix Wright, Spirit of Justice, where, as the judge says, it seems we're entering the final act at last, as we have accused Pierce Nichody of the murder of Dumas Gloomsbury, obtaining ourselves a fair motive, after all. She was Selena's other half before she died. Notice how I avoided a word as we move on. Witness, your testimony, please. Right, it's time to see our mad surgeon. The final act is upon us. A testimony to destroy. The right to remain silent. Oh, joy. Oh, you're not gonna... Oh, really? Best testimony ever. Mr. Nichody, why didn't you say anything? He just took a picture of me. Or something. Not an x-ray, please. He did! I got spikes out the back of my head, do I? You want me to voluntarily testify, hoping I will make a slip of the tongue. Not a very impressive plan, or brain, I might add. Ow! That was uncalled for. Also, surely illegal to expose people to even that small bit of radiation. Like that. Outside of a medical setting. If you want to know something, you ask the question. I will answer, but I have no intention of making any voluntary statements of my own. No matter how small the radiation dose was. Ugh. What's he trying to do, Nick? He's using the silent treatment as a strategy to avoid getting tripped up. Clever guy. No more lies, Mr. Nichody. You will tell us nothing but the truth from now on. We're gonna get one of Edgeworth, too. Ah! What do you think you're doing? He's got his frills. And no one asked you to speak. Just keep quiet over there and play with your frills. Are they all like bone growths then? How dare you? He's got lead-lined frills. Well, this is a rather unconventional situation, but please proceed, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? Which is obviously starting well. Great. I can press on this then. Hold it! If he won't speak voluntarily, then I guess I'll have to ask him something. What question should I ask? The reason for killing Gloomsbury, the grudge against Soren, or actions on the day of the crime? I mean, we already know the reason for killing Gloomsbury. It was to cover up what was supposed to be something on someone else, or the robbing of happiness of Soren. So that's, you know, the reason for killing Gloomsbury is pure cover-up, right? Grudge against Soren is very obvious. So let's ask him the non-obvious one. On the day of the incident, you were constantly surrounded by your subordinates. Is that right? Absolutely. I was in someone's line of sight at all times. After all, I was busy taking care of every detail of the event. Mr. Edgeworth, I believe your investigation backs up my claim. I got statements that said groups of his subordinates worked with him in rotation, so he was always with someone. As the prosecutor just said, I couldn't even get close to the lantern containing Gloomsbury by myself, let alone kill him. Huh. Pierce didn't have a chance to get close to the victim alone, huh? Mr. Wright, would you like that statement added to the witness's testimony? Why not? At least it's a statement to work with. Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to have that statement added to his testimony. Very well. So I was always in the company of others. I didn't have an opportunity to murder Gloomsbury. Okay. Do we have anything that proves against that? I'll press it first. So, you were always in someone's line of sight? I was surrounded by family members and staff as we prepared for the reception. During the reception, I was stationed behind the sweetheart table to attend to the couple. When could I have possibly committed murder? I'm not buying it. If Pierce is the true killer, then there must have been some time when he was out of everyone's sight. What do you think, Nick? Is there a chance for us here? Well, as long as we have some kind of testimony from him, there has to be. I'll just have to compare his testimony against the evidence and find an inconsistency, right? Exactly. This is it. I have to do this right. So I'm presenting something to that statement, which was somewhat obvious anyway. Okay, so it's the third statement on the list. Always in the company of others. So on one photo, you're present. What about the other reception, maybe? So this one, he's in the back there. Reception is obscured by thick fog. Not there. I mean, what if it wasn't him and it's someone in disguise, just wearing the similar stuff? Also, the... This was the being bring up in the statement. It's just a bit small, of course, in the small screen to really take on things. I mean, could it just simply be that within that photo we've got a way of actually obscuring movement? I mean, either he's in the disguise, or it's just simply the fact that he could easily slip away without anyone noticing him because of the way the fog is billowing out one side. After all, he could have moved just as long as the... Wait, if he knows where the photo's go. I really don't know at the moment. Super deliberation. Oh, we've got 5 lives. We've got nothing that can show his movements elsewise on the thing. It just seems like much of the reception hall is obscured by thick fog. Objection! Might be the key. Otherwise, why did the picture mention it too? Mr. Nichody testifies it was always with someone at the time of the incident, and never had a moment alone to commit the crime. Yes, and the police investigation backs that statement up, doesn't it? But there was an opportunity. In fact, one and only one. A moment when Mr. Nichody could have killed Mr. Gloomsbury without anyone noticing. What? And the one thing that made that moment possible is shown here in this photograph. With all those people watching, I couldn't have possibly committed murder. Do not believe him, Your Honor. This lawyer is a malignant tumor. He wants to infect this judicial body with virulent accusations. Mr. Nichody, I would ask that you keep quiet this time. We need to evaluate the defense's claim. And your yammering only serves to throw further suspicion your way. Mr. Wright, let's see this one thing you mentioned. But be warned, this had better not be one of your offhanded claims. Who do you think you're talking to, Mr. Edgeworth? Very well, Mr. Wright. Please point out for us the one thing that made the moment of the murder possible. That one moment when it was possible for Mr. Nichody to kill Mr. Gloomsbury. The one thing that made that single moment possible is this. So am I clicking that then? Take that! The one thing that made the moment of the murder possible is this thick mood fog that engulfed the entire reception hall. It is under the cover of this fog. And Mr. Nichody murdered the victim. What? Right in the middle of everything? What? Mr. Nichody was standing right next to the lantern that Mr. Gloomsbury was in. I was looking towards it as well. This was the only moment the murder could have been committed without being seen. Objection. I can accept that there was a moment when the witness was obscured from others by fog. But that doesn't prove Mr. Nichody killed the victim at that very moment. If you can't prove the crime was committed during the reception, the trial ends here. I was so caught up in finding a foothold that I forgot to think that far ahead. Well done, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time to call this trial's time of death. Well, Mr. Wright, can you prove the murder happened during the reception? Don't even bother. This claim is dead on arrival. Victory is in your grasp, prosecutor. Quiet, witness. I have no interest in victory. All I care about is the truth. One that we can only arrive at through further deliberation. Edgeworth. Enough of this. Your Honor, this trial is over. No, Mr. Nichody, that is for me to decide. Mr. Wright, can you prove it? Can you prove that the murder was committed during the wedding reception? Why is there no verdict yet? The lawyer's obviously out of answers. The prosecutor, the judge, they're all infected. And malignant stupidity is so advanced not even the best surgeons can save them. In fact, not even a brain transplant could cure them. This court is infected with idiocy. It's a pandemic.
Objection!
Mr. Nichody, that's enough already. Finally ready to give up, are you? Nope, just the opposite, actually. I'll prove the murder was committed during the reception. By you. Ah! You'll prove it? Can you really, Mr. Wright? Yes, I can, Your Honor. To be honest, I don't know exactly how I'll do it just yet. But if I want to get to the truth Edward was talking about, I'll just have to find that way. Very well, Mr. Wright. Let's have your proof. Enough of this foolishness, he's just bluffing. Stop him from speaking, Your Honor. I will do nothing of the sort. You are just a district court judge. The power of the Sprocket family, Enough of your foolishness, Mr. Nichody. This judicial body will not succumb to the influence of money or power. Ugh. Now then, let's hear it, Mr. Wright. Let's hear your truth. Think, Phoenix. Remember everything you've learned so far. You can do this. You can find the definitive evidence that will lead us to the truth. It's time to go into my brain. Let those synapses fire! Think, Phoenix. How can I prove the murder took place during the wedding reception? If Pierce committed the murder during the reception, then he had to have used his shoulder mech, the fixer-upper, obviously, the reception photo, yes. The murder weapon. That was the easiest one we've ever seen. Use the murder weapon? Well, you know, you can't commit murder without using the murder weapon. Yes, the weapon that was used to strike the victim twice. According to the autopsy report, the victim was hit by the same object both times, so without a doubt, Pierce used it to commit the murder. The weapon used to kill Bloomsbury was the timekeeper. We know that very muchly. The timekeeper was the murder weapon. Oh, it was also on a stand right next to him, remember? If Pierce struck the victim during that one single moment, then he must have used the timekeeper. Come to think of it, wasn't it also used for something else during the reception? During the reception, the timekeeper was also used for the first taste of love. The cutting of the time machine, sure. The first startup of love was what it was called. The timekeeper had been activated. That's right, the timekeeper had been activated during the reception. If we activate the timekeeper again now and find any trace evidence of the murder, that would be conclusive proof that Bloomsbury was killed during the reception. Ole? A special ceremony took place during the reception in question. What kind of special ceremony? It was called the first startup of love. Apparently, the couple activated the timekeeper for the first time during it. Does that mean the timekeeper here in evidence isn't activated at the moment? And what would happen if we were to activate it? Why don't we see for ourselves? It would give us a chance to examine it. While we're at it, we just might find some conclusive evidence. What? No, you can't activate it. And Mr. Nichody, keep quiet or I'll have you thrown out of court. Yeah. By the way, Mr. Wright, this is supposed to be a time machine, right? We aren't going to travel back in time to the Stone Age or anything, are we? I don't think we have to worry too much about that, Your Honor. I'm still a bit nervous nonetheless, but the truth must be known. Very well, go ahead and start up the timekeeper. Do you know how, Nick? I think so, maybe? The bride and groom each had a symbol of their love, and when they put them together, oh, how romantic it was. Let's see, I think the symbol of the groom's love must be the timekeeper itself. What symbol of the bride's love would fit together with the timekeeper? Oh, I know, that has to be it. Mr. Wright, are you ready to activate the time machine now? Yes, Your Honor. The The symbol of the bride's love that's necessary for activating the timekeeper is Ellen's pendant, which is of course a gear.
Take that!
Or something of the sort. Miss White's pendant is the symbol of the bride's love that's necessary for activating the timekeeper. What? And does that mean you can start it up with Miss White's pendant? I believe so, Your Honor. Is there a wind-up key? I don't know. The other thing's a wind-up key, isn't it? Oh well. Please write now, Mr. Wright. Okay, here I go. First I have to figure out where the pendant goes. Okay, well, right here? This hole looks like a good spot. I'll try setting the pendant in here. Oh no, that's the key. It fits! This must be the right spot. Like, they do combine together to make a key. Now I have to find a place to insert the key. Okay, well, it's right in there. They join together. They're both part of the same key, essentially, right? The hole in the middle of the pendant. Could this be it? Because now, you wind it to start that on this side. Oh, maybe not. The cog will move the other cog, right? There we go. Oh. Oh, ho, ho. It was active. Oh, there we go. It worked. The timekeeper's been activated. Now, all I have to do is find proof that the crime was committed during the reception. Phoenix? Eyes? You don't need me to do it. Look at this. I think I found it. Conclusive evidence that the murder was committed during the wedding reception. Just as I suspected, there's evidence of the murder inside the timekeeper, Mr. Nichody. The timekeeper was only activated and opened during the wedding reception, right? No! Stop! So, that means this is conclusive proof that the crime was committed during the reception. Ah! After you killed the victim under the cover of fog, you closed the timekeeper to hide the bloodstain, didn't you? The activated timekeeper is obviously it was in this state when it was used on the victim. No, you're wrong! Ellen killed Bloomsbury. It wasn't me, I tell you!
Objection!
Give it up, Mr. Nichody. How could the defendant, who was in the middle of pledging her love, have possibly committed the murder with everyone watching her? It was the family! Yes, all the family members conspired together to kill him.
Objection!
There's no way you can talk your way out of this, Mr. Nichody. During the reception, during that one dreamlike moment, only one person could have used the timekeeper to beat the victim to death. And that one person was you, Pierce Nichody. When you've used the base, it's a lot heavy, right? If you just use a different part, you'd be fine. No. This isn't over yet. I won't give up. Oh no! I cut the artery! This stupid thing. I'm gonna stop the bleeding now. Give me forceps. Forceps, I said! Hey, where is everyone? Fine. I'll manage this alone. I'll do it all by myself. I can fix anything, repair anything. So you have to get better. You have to live. I would have been able to save her. If only I had listened to her. If only I treated her first. If only that Soren hadn't been there. Ah! Selena! No! Guys, did you just have a heart attack? You're not going to do anything? Witness, are you finally ready to tell us the truth? It's just as the lawyer deduced. So was all the revenge scheme against Soren Sprocket. Do you have any idea how hard it is to lose someone you love? Right in front of you? Selena's condition was clearly more critical than Soren's, But in spite of that, she said, "Please help Soren." Miss Sprocket's last words. So that's what she really meant by those words. I was able to grant her wish, but at the price of her life. So you got a job with Sprocket Aviation and waited for your chance to get revenge. You got close to Mr. Gloomsbury and hatched this plot. Is that right? Gloomsbury's already bore a grudge against Soren. So when I tempted him with an even better position, he immediately took the bait. He was your accomplice, someone who shared the same goal as you. Why was it necessary for you to kill him? I didn't expect Soren to strike Gloomsbury out on the Vista deck. And I certainly never imagined he'd make his way there along the outside wall. Soren's love is the real deal, after all. My plan had been compromised, so for the time being, I hid his body in the lantern. And tried to think of my next move. And then Mr. Gloomsbury came to during the second wedding reception. As soon as I saw Gloomsbury, I instantly hit upon an idea. To pin the blame of Gloomsbury's murder on Ellen. You tried to break up the couple by making the bride out to be a murderer. How despicable. Soren was getting the company and the wedding. Both things that were supposed to be Selena's. He took every happiness from her. Who's the despicable one here? Do you think what you did would make her happy? I know it wouldn't. But I couldn't just stand by, watching Soren enjoy his happiness. I was going to have Soren taste the same pain I had, and then take over Sprocket Aviation. I would take back from him all of the happiness that was rightfully Selena's. Time stopped for me the day I lost her. Just like this pocket watch of hers. Pierce! Miss Wyatt! I believe Selena would have said, "Leave this ill will behind. Your time is yours to live." It's too late for me. Time will never advance for me ever again. What? It can't be! I see now, Selena. What I did was wrong.
I see no further need to continue this trial. Bailiff, please take Mr. Nichody away.
Pierce Nichody, another inconsolable time traveler, who lived in time that stood still.
Now then, I must render my verdict regarding the defendant.
Your Honor, before you give your ruling, would you please allow me a moment?
Very well.
Ellen, there's something I need to say to you. Yes, Soren? I've put you through something truly horrible. This whole thing happened all because of me. I would understand if you wanted to call off our marriage. What? Of course not. I never once thought that. If you stay with me, you'll only face even more trying times in the future. What do you mean? The truth of this incident and the car accident before it. I'm going to tell the public everything. I expect the company's reputation will suffer, and I'll take a lot of criticism. But I feel I can only really start over once I get everything out in the open. Soren. After all that's happened, I might not have the right to ask you this, but, well, how should I say this? Maybe I'll just... A life with me probably won't be very easy, but... Will you marry me? Yes, of course! She looked so much better with her hair ruffled. Your Honor, thank you for this time. Please continue with your ruling.
Very well. But first I have one question. Do the two of you pledge your eternal love for each other to the goddess of justice, Themis?
I do, Your Honor. I do.
And does the prosecution or the defense have any objections?
Well done, Your Honor. No objections here. The defense has no objections either, Your Honor.
This court finds the defendant, Ellen White. Ah, that's not right. This court finds the defendant, Ellen Sprocket.
Hey, you may take her name. Just like me. Not guilty.
This court is adjourned.
And so, another victory for the Write Anything Agency. And true love continues on, though hard times await. Ellen, Soren, congratulations. Mr. Wright, I can't thank you enough. If you hadn't exposed the truth, Soren and I wouldn't... But now you can finally start your new life together, right? Oh, thank you! Mr. Wright, we'll be holding our real wedding ceremony in the near future. Would you do us the honor of coming to it? I want you to witness our fresh start. Of course, I wouldn't miss it for the world. And Ellen, this time it'll finally be happily ever after, right? Oh yes! The two of you have persevered and overcome this trial together. Now, no matter what obstacles come your way, I'm sure you'll be able to handle them. And there's another thing I'm sure of too. This person will always be watching over the two of you. Okay then. I take it. It's Big Sis.
Take that!
Selena. Yes, I think you're right. And we promise to live life to the fullest, for Selena's sake too. Right, Soren? That's right. Well, we better be on our way. Yes, my love. Wow, the old fresh old carrier. Way to show off. We'll be seeing you. Goodbye for now. I'll be looking forward to that wedding. Hold on tight, Ellen. You better believe I will. I'm never letting you go. Innocent couple smooshed against ceiling. There they go. You're not thinking of going to that wedding by yourself, are you, boss? Oh, hi, Athena. You're taking us too, right? Oh boy, I bet there's going to be all kinds of fancy food there. Athena, when did you get here? Just now. I would have been here to cheer you guys on earlier, but Juicy never gave me a chance to slip away. You're going to be in even bigger trouble with her later. Speaking of the wedding, maybe I should ask them to invite Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth? Really? But he thought Ellen was guilty all the way to the end. That may be true, but he's just doing his job. Just without the actual full investigation job side of things. Don't even bother. This claim is dead on arrival. Excuse me in your grasp, prosecutor. Quiet, witness. I have no interest in victory. All I care about is the truth. One that we can only arrive at through further deliberation. If he hadn't stood up for us when he did, the trial probably would have ended there. No, it wouldn't have. I mean, Mr. Edgeworth gave us that chance. Maybe. Though, knowing him, I doubt he'd ever tell, even if I asked. Well, if that's how you feel about it, Nick, then why not try to get him invited? Hey, Maya! Have you ever tried to catch the bouquet? What? No. I never have either. Finding over a bouquet that's been tossed by the bride. Talk about a fierce competition. I'm totally stoked. I'm not sure it's really supposed to be all that competitive. I'm a pretty good jumper, so I think I've got a chance. She's definitely missing the point of the whole thing. And Larry, how did you manage to stay so quiet for so long? Shut up! Wishing the lady you fell in love with every happiness is what a real man does. I'm pretty sure that relationship was over before it even began, Larry. Done it all! If only I was 10 years younger, things would have gone differently. Hands of time, why won't you turn back for me? Are we going, are we? Is there going to be a bouquet throw? Please give me the payoff we all desire. Today is Ellen and Soren's third wedding ceremony and reception. God, they've had so many. I heard the bride and groom insisted it be on the Flying Chapel again. In the end, they were nice enough to invite me and Maya. And Athena kind of invited herself. They also invited Edgeworth, Emma, and even Larry. They say third time's the charm, right? I really do hope it's happily ever after for them this time around. Still, I get the feeling it's going to be one rowdy party.
Ready when you are. Okay, here we go. Huh?
Oh, hey! Look who's next! Huh?
Get back! Haven't you ever heard of ladies first?
I'm truly blessed to have you.
And that was how Larry got chucked off of an airship. The end. No more Larry Butts. He caught the bouquet. Who's next to be murdered is always the question in Phoenix Wright. And so there we have it. That is the game. We've done the DLC. We've done everything. Let's look at the splash screen for it, because it didn't have a splash screen before, after all. Well, we are done for yet more. Now, will there be more in the future? That is a question of itself. I mean, there are games that are unlocalized. There's spin-offs to go with it. Will there be another Phoenix Wright mainline game, considering, of course, the trilogy's come to Switch? Maybe more will get updated, HD remake, blah, 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 onto Switch. You never know where it will go from here. Hopefully, we'll see you again for more of this series in the future. But for now, after a long Let's Play, Spirit of Justice is finally complete. Surely we'll object again further in the future. Until that time, we say bye-bye. Thank you for watching.